Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thanks for joining. Hit like, hit subscribe. Today I'm going to go through ROZZER. It's a sequencer I use. It's mainly the only sequencer I use. I found it years ago. It's a free download Max for Live plugin. I use it on Ableton 11. I found one link before, because I've never had to find it since. I'm going to post that down below, so I hope it works for you. But I think there's some forums and stuff that have been talking about ROZZER. So I'm going to use it on a synth. This is just Ableton's wavetable effects section, pulse drone beeper. Over here, Max for Live, ROZZER Advanced Step Sequencer V2. So you would have seen me use this in previous videos with drum kits, and I'll get into that. But I put up a poll, and people wanted to see how I use sequences, why I use sequences, so here we are. What I love about it is the randomness, and I've mentioned this before, but here we've got pitch, octave, velocity. Then there's 5 parameters where we can map different things. I use it in its most basic form. I normally just hit random. When it comes to a synth, I can't play piano. I don't play keys, so I like to throw a VST on or an instrument on, hit random, and see where it takes me to get a sequence going, and then I can decide what I want to do from there. So as we come up here, we've got notes, octave, velocity, gate, all octave range, bottom out. These are the parameter controls. We have 5. The parameter controls are over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can, I'll get into this later, but you can select the track, device, and parameter. It's like mapping stuff. I use it very simply. I normally throw it on a synth, hit random. When you hit random on any of these parameters, so let's say octave, everything's set normal, hit random, changes the octave. Same as the velocity tab. Hits velocity, it changes that, so on and so forth. So I always stay in pitch. We'll take it down to 6. I like it short. Oh. So, pretty straightforward. It's just easier to get something moving. I've tried Set Gate and Snake. They're cool. I just prefer ROZZER. Hitting random, different variations straight away. You can change the key, the root note, then you got your scales here as well. Good thing about it is you can mute steps on the greens here. Or you can flick them all and keep going. Get them all full. You might ramp it up to 8, 12, 16. You go all the way to 64. You can even draw them in. So it's good. You can really get some longer patterns out of it. It's probably good if you play live as well. I'll take it back to 8. Typically, I get it into a good pocket. Sequence-wise, decide if I'm muting anything. This particular preset, this particular wavetable has presets. So radio controlled. I've never used this before. Flapping sheets. The good thing, not only do we have random on the ROZZER, if you're using things from Ableton, instruments from Ableton, you've got the random button there as well, which will change the processing parameters. So all these filter, unison, space, reverb, time. You keep hitting that, you'll get another variation again. It's very subtle. So I'd open the filter, I'd turn the space down. Then obviously it's a preset, but you can expand this and get into it and, you know, maybe do some more modulating and stuff like that. Octaves. What I'll do is I normally set everything to the same step amount, though you can randomize that and change it to get more variation. What else I like about it, it's got an overall random button, which is down here for all, and that will mute steps for you and change the patterns of everything. So sometimes if something's not really working, I'll just go straight to that override button or all random, and that will sometimes work for me. Or tweak from taste. There you go. So there's two instruments. You got the high bell volume and the main synth. Let's turn this back up. As I was saying before, you know, I don't really draw much or play keys, so for me to try and do this from scratch would take me a while and would probably frustrate the shit out of me. That's why I use it. It's just quick. It's part of my workflow. It works for me. Off we go. What I then like to do with it is, if I get it there's two things that will happen when I'm using it on a synth. I'll just leave this run and sort of have my melody or synth line running throughout my track, and I can auto filter and do what I like from there. Or sometimes I'll duplicate it, freeze it to audio for two reasons. Sometimes I just want to get out of MIDI, having audio, so I don't change my mind and fuck around. Or I feel it's pretty close, but I might want to chop up the audio a little bit more and maybe, you know, change the sequence and dial it in a little bit more particular. You know, and if I'm doing that, I can create a variation. I like to work visually, and I've got a new melody, new line. What else I like to do is normally once I've frozen it, I'll pick out one shot, and then I'll save them into a separate folder of samples. Reason being as well, depending on your workflow and your taste, you might also, where are we? Having that one shot, like if I'll just consolidate this. Having that one shot, where are you? Yeah. You know, you might just want to have more control of that and draw it in as however you like. That's shit ass, but let's command that. You know, but then you have rough example. You know, from that one sample, that one shot, you can then go even further and muck around with it. What you also could do, it's another way I like to use it, and this stems from using ROZZER. It's also a starting point for me to get to one shots and other samples. Is I would MIDI effect Phrygiate. So like, let's make this bigger. Let's make it one note, maybe two. You know, I'll just muck around with the arpeggiator and see what I can do. Sometimes I just have sound design sessions where I'm doing this and having fun and trying to create other sounds and trying to find new ways. And this is how sometimes I start those sessions, just by not really having a goal and getting into it, you know. So then again, you can freeze, flatten once again, and more samples. I love to transpose. So that's one way on synths. In the parameters, you can dial in and map things as well. I don't really use it. I know it's available, so I'll lightly touch on it, but it's not my area of expertise. You can select the track, so we can select this channel because we've got the synth on there. We can then select the device, which is the pulse drone beeper, and then we can map the parameters. We can use parameter 1 to map something. So let's say we choose the filter. You don't need to do this in ROZZER. You can use LFO or envelope follower and map as usual. I probably do that because I'm just more used to it. But if you use ROZZER a lot or you want something all in one, you can do it in here. So as you'll see here, the curve, comp, jitter, and smooth will now control that filter macro. You can see the filter macro moving here. Why can't I hear that? So the curve, the jitter really randomizes it. The curve and the comp work similar. I would look at jitter as like random in the pace of movement, and then the smooth button really smooths out all the parameters before it, which is nice because if you get it a bit hectic, you can then smooth it out and get it a bit cleaner or a bit nicer. So as I said, for me personally, for me to sit there and draw this, it will take me a while. That's why I'm using it on synths like that. Not to mention that reverb shit of me. Let's turn that down. But then again, changing the steps. Or you might not map it and use the parameters at all, do it third party. So that's one way. Within that, obviously freezing and getting more one-shots and more ideas flowing from there. The next one is, and I've done this a few times on the channel, but I've more just shown how I do it, not really why I do it. So if we go back to fresh ROZZER on, MIDI channel, drums. So what have we got here? Equinox. I use it for drums a lot. Similar to not playing keys, I typically don't program drums, but I do love drum kits. And ROZZER is one of the reasons why I love using drum kits in my production, because you might have a cool drum kit, right? You hear them individually. Can you put them together? Maybe, maybe not. But ROZZER, and I'll go to 6 steps here, hit random, will now trigger the different instruments in the drum kit. I think I've used this in another lesson, Equinox, that rings a bell. So now, between here, if we listen to the kit on its own, which is cool, right? But you can just keep hitting random, and it will do the pattern for you. But then on top of that, we've got the random button of the parameters of the drum kit because we're using Ableton. So if we hit this again, I'll take the delay off so we can hear it a bit more. The good thing is, so I like that, right? But that vocals give me the shit, so I can come to the drum kit, see what's triggering, and you can solo, so then I can mute that. And now when I keep hitting random to get variations, it's going to skip that vocal. Wild. But then within the kit, look, I don't like that vocal chant, right? But you don't just need to delete it. What you can do is, we've got the pitch here. Now let me hear it. Yeah, so I've transposed it up now. So I'll turn it up so we can hear it. That's another thing too. If you like all of, so I like that on its own now. It's going to be a drainer, but if I mute all these, right? I'll either leave it there, so I've got that sound on its own, and then keep moving in the kit, or I'll freeze that to audio, so I've got the sample of that, and then keep moving in the kit to sort of get variations of that, and keep exploring with other kits in Ableton. Come on, you bastard. Here we go. So now I've got that sample there. I can go back to the kit, unmute all these, mute the sample, and keep exploring. Hit the random all button, so then it can mute some stuff too to get maybe more of a broken beat. So that's why I use ROZZER. Synths, because I can't play keys, get a decent sequence really fast, sample it, chop it up, use it as it is, whatever you like. Drum kits, triggers all the random shit in there. You got random on ROZZER, random on Ableton, so you can change all the parameters. You can map things. You can do it internally in ROZZER, or you can do it separately. I'll leave a link below. I hope it works for you. If not, I'm pretty sure there's forums getting around on there, and you'll be able to get it going. Alternatives to ROZZER, in case it doesn't work, I have here Sec 8, which is a bit boring. I know there's Snake, what's it called? I used to have it on Ableton 10, MDD Snake or something like that, which is cool. I think it's based off the Renee Make Noise Euro-Rack module, which is awesome. And there's a whole bunch of paid ones as well, but I won't get into that just yet. So yeah, hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you. Sample my clap if you want. People keep asking about it, and I'll see you around. Ciao.